They ain't all pretty, but that is a win for the Sixers. Felt good to hear the songs. We welcome you here to Sixers Post-Game Live, brought to you by Cure Auto Insurance. Amy Fadool, Jim Lynam, and Marc Jackson. And listen, the Hornets made the Sixers work for it, but in the end, they close it out. Some really nice performances across the board. It was the 19th time this season that Tyrese Maxey had 30 or more points. Nice game from Kelly Oubre. And I think the real kind of boost was when Kyle Lowry came back in the fourth quarter, Jim.
Yeah, I thought Kyle did a real good job there in the fourth. The Sixers did a nice job in closing this out, going down the stretch, and Marc Jackson called the shot. I thought Paul Reed really came up with, he just gets himself involved in those scramble kind of plays, and he made a number of them in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, Oubre going against his former team, a team that he averaged 20 points with last year, and he showed him maybe what they may be missing there, Mark.
Absolutely. The best thing you could do is take care of your old team, especially with a good victory and some good buckets. Oubre was outstanding tonight, 22 points, shot the lights out. One thing he's been aggressive on since in the last 10 games is getting to the rim, finishing over top of people. And like I've mentioned before several times, we have lacked that in the 76 uniform, in my opinion, since Andre Iguodala. Somebody gets the rim and goes finishes over top of people.
Yeah, you mentioned 22 points, 8 of 16 shooting from Oubre. Here he is with Taryn Hatcher.
All right, Kelly, you had some massive shots there at the end of the game. Also got off to an incredibly hot start against your former team. What were you seeing that you liked out there tonight?
Just attacking. I had a little more motivation, obviously, playing against my former team. And we need these wins. We need to come in here and fight every night, no matter who we're playing. So, this is another must-win for us. And it's Joel's birthday, so we had to go get a win tonight.
And talking to Bobby Jackson at half, he said we're just not finishing quarters well. When you look back on that second quarter, but you guys finished the most important quarter the right way, the fourth quarter. What was the key to closing it out tonight?
Just staying consistent with the defensive game plan, following coach's schemes, everything that we talked about pre-game, shoot around and everything, but for 48 minutes. Tonight it was a better game than last game, being disciplined, so, we got the win.
Kelly, thank you for the time. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you. Happy birthday, Joe.
Happy birthday, Joel Embiid, who turned 30 years young. He was in the house. The update, Nick Nurse pregame saying they are still very hopeful that he does come back before the end of the season. So it was nice to give the big man a birthday gift. He's watching them struggle, obviously, without them. They're 11-22 without Joel Embiid so far this season. Getting a win at any point is always important, especially with now just 15 games to go, Mark.
Every game is so crucial, Amy. We're in eighth now. We're battling down there at the bottom of that chart for playoffs contention, and we want to move up. We don't want to be in that play-in tournament. We want to give Joel the opportunity to come back and really engage in a 7-game series. The amount of pressure that's on Joel already, he's the biggest, baddest man in the league. Coming back fighting for one game, and I'm a big believer on one game, anything's possible. Anybody's like a puncher's chance, and these way these guys shoot the ball nowadays. I want to see Joel in a 7-game series because the more reps he get, the more games he get, he's going to get better.
Yeah, anybody can win on any given night, and you don't want to take any chances. Kelly Oubre certainly making sure the Sixers got the win. Strong start in this one, and then came again alive in the fourth quarter. He is the subject of our Yingling Presents Lager Up. And Jim, Mark mentioned it, he has been very aggressive. That's where I think he plays his best game, when he is just attacking the rim like this.
Oh, no question, and he's been doing that with a lot of consistency, I'd say, for the past really couple of months. He started off the season with this, and then it kind of was a little bit of a lull period. And I think the coach has encouraged that kind of aggression, and it's paid off for him.
Yeah, and shot 50%, and so when you're shooting that aggressively, and these are close-in shots, that's why you have such a good percentage, Mark.
Absolutely. The aggression helps everythty. Look at this pass. That pass is fascinating. What a find by this guy. Payne has been outstanding. This team moved the ball. This is a violent effort by everybody on this lineup.
Yeah, that was a great bucket right there. Kelly Oubre with his 22 points on 8 of 16 shooting. And you can see him. That's when and drew the foul there as well, so counted and won. But that's when you really need, when you're kind of struggling and they got a little bit kind of stagnant in there, you need an energy guy like Kelly Oubre, and he provided that spark, as did, I think, Kyle Lowry in this one. Let's check in with Nick Nurse after his team's win.
Was the difference down the stretch tonight versus maybe some of these more other recent games where you've let leads slip away?
Well, we it usually comes down to some shot making and stop making, right? And we were able to do both kind of consecutively there in the last 3 minutes of the game. had a couple good shots, got an and one, battled on the glass a little bit, got to the free throw line a little bit there late in the game as well, and then we were just good enough at the defensive end as well to string up about 3 stops in a row.
What about the lift Buddy gave you in the second half?
Yeah, I thought both Paul and Buddy were really good in the second half, right? And that's a great bounce back because they didn't quite get into the rhythm of the game in the first half. So that's good, like to go out there and get yourself involved, and Buddy really kept us going there for a stretch, and that was good to see. He got to some good spots, he got some good looks, made a couple threes. I thought, again, we only scored 109 points, but I thought the offense was really good. I thought we had a lot of open 3 balls. If we just shoot a little better percentage from that, we have a really good offensive night probably, but we didn't, so we still had to slug it out and hold them, under 100 to get the W. So it's good that our defense was good enough.
Was Tyrese as aggressive as you wanted him to be tonight? You had mentioned that.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a normal 20-shot mark that we like him at. I probably would have liked him to go a little bit more. We were trying to get people out of his way because he was just good enough to, kind of create enough on his own, but we couldn't quite get out. They sent a lot. They doubled him a lot. They even when we did clear out, they were doubling him in isolations too. So they were making him give it up a lot. So it was pretty good. I'm really happy he got to the line. I complained about it enough before the game, so I got to at least mention it that it was good tonight.
I was about to ask you.
Yeah.
Do you think that weighed on him after last game, the way that, without getting anybody in trouble, the way he was officiating?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think there's certainly a level of frustration, and I think that, I always tell the refs too, I don't really care if they're not going to call them, but you can't be calling tap fouls for another guy on the other team the whole game. When you're barely scraping them, or you're not even sure they got him on the elbow, or a really late little bump, or all the way through, and then you're just not. If you're not going to call them, you're not going to call them. That's what I'm down with. Or if you're going to call them, you're going to call them, right? It shouldn't ever be one guy's going in there and barely getting touched, and another guy's getting crashed into, and it's not that way. That's my only thing, and we can adjust either way.
Didn't shoot very well tonight, but in that stretch run, it felt like he made a couple impact plays, like knocked the ball away that led to the N1. He had the assist on Nico's corner 3. Just, I guess, what type of impact did he have?
Yeah, so I was looking at that as the game was winding down, that Kyle and Nico had a whopping total of 13 points between them, right? But look at their rebounds. Nico had a couple blocks. Kyle had a huge steal there. It ends up with 3 steals, 7 assists, 6 rebounds. Nico's 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. I mean, those guys are making plays, right? So it doesn't say that a lot, that you can go 2 for 10 and play really good.
You just talk about Tyrese's toughness. I mean, he got a shot. I'm talking about.
I've never seen that before. Have you ever seen that before? You ever seen a flagrant 2 with a ball handler out on the perimeter before? Me either. Yeah,
I mean,
he took a shot. It was, blood was coming down there pretty good, and he hung in there, man. It happens in this game. It was good to see him stick in there, make the plays, and play most of the game. What did he play, 40 minutes? Pretty good.
Kind of already alluded to it, but how do you think the team and Tyrese handled the blitzes and the traps and everything all day?
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. Again, I think it would have looked a lot better if we'd have made some of the swing, wide open corner 3s that we had out of it. I think it would have looked amazing, but I think we didn't turn it over much. We made a little adjustment in the second half to make what's called an advance pass forward and then play from there. So we did what we were trying to do. You just got to make the shots at the end of them, right? It's kind of everything. Execute. And if you do that, I mean, if you execute most of the time, you should make them sooner or later. All right.
Sooner or later, they did make them down the stretch, and that's really all that matters. We mentioned a little bit of a disjointed effort, I think, across the board. But that's maybe what the Hornets wanted. They wanted to keep the Sixers off guard so they would have a chance, Mark.
Absolutely. You got to keep the game chaotic. When your talent is not all dressed, meaning in Charlotte with LaMelo and Miller, you got to make the game as chaotic as possible. You can't let a team get settled or run excessive into you because you'll get murdered. So it's very important that you switch it up so they just scrambling to try to find buckets so they get a chance to set up.
And you mentioned Brandon Miller. Of course, he was tossed from this game after that flagrant 2 right before the half. Tyrese Maxey did not slow him down, even though he took a hard forearm to the elbow, right, or to the nose right there, Jim.
Yeah, he dealt with it very nicely, bounced right back once they stopped that bleeding. But yeah, Maxey's game I thought was solid start to finish.